آه، طيب ازيكم يا شباب عاملين ايه؟ هنبدأ نكمل كلامنا عن التاسك اللي كنا عايزين نكتبها. احنا ان شاء الله we will write it in pseudocode and you have to write it with a specific way according to your uh, mark scheme and according to your specification in your syllabus. So you will find that you will write it in a different way from Cambridge students. So you have to focus on how you can write a pseudocode for your exam at Excel. But now let's start. As we said before, we will have two arrays, which is one is called midday, and the second one will be midnight, and you will store it the temperature, and you can find that you have to make a validation for the data entry, and it told you that you must decide your own validation rule, so you can think about it. What is the validation temperature which you will accept it? For example, it must be more than 10 and less than 50, or any validation rule you can set or decide your own validation rule, but you will not accept any temperature will be inputted by a user. Okay, and you may assume that there are 30 days in months because, of course, you know some of months it is 30, and some of them 29, and some of them 31. So it make it easier for you by you will think that you have only 30 days per month. Okay, so if we want to do it, as we said, we will use an array. This array is one-dimensional array. And let's do it for the first one, which is, for example, midday temp. You will input the temperature in the midday temp, and you have from 0 to 29. Or we said that we can use from 0 to 29 or from 1 to 30, but in pseudocode, you have to start from 0 to 29. Okay, right. So if we want to input the temperature in an array, at first we will repeat it how many times? 30 times in this to input the temperature and to input the temperature and so on until you will input the last temperature in your array. So if you will deal with an array, you can use any type of for loop or while or repeat. So let's use, for example, while. Right. What is the condition which you will use it? At first, we will start with index 0 to 29. So let's at first set index 0. So how we can write index equal 0, as you can find in your homework, that you will write set and then index to 0. Okay, so we will start our index with 0, and while index less than 30, you will do. Okay, so you will get the condition which is run loop, which is index less than 30, because we start with 0 and to 29. Okay, and at the end, don't forget to add and while. Okay, inside this while, you will input the temperature, and you have to check or make a validation for the temperature. Okay, and you have to do another thing. You have to make increment for this index, as we find in your homework. If you will not make the increment or the counter or count up to index, it will be infinite loop, because it starts with 0 and it will be forever less than 30. Okay, so don't forget inside it to set index to index plus 1. Okay, and let's make a validation. So you will repeat until You will repeat until the temperature is more than 0 and less than 50 according to the validation rule which you will add it. And for example, let's make it until in the midnight or midday temp more than 0. And as we said, you have to write a complete condition. You cannot write more than 0 and less than 50. No, you have to write more than 0 and midday temp less than 50. More than 0 and midday temp of index less than 50. Okay, so this is the condition which you will add, or the validation rule which you add. Okay, and then you will input the value, or you can get the value of your temperature. So we can use it to input the value or receive the value. Midday temp of index from keyboard. So you will receive the temperature from your keyboard, and he will check if it is more than 0 and less than 50. You will make increment for it. But this is for midday. We will do the same thing for midnight. As we said, we have an array, which we call it as the midnight temperature, and we will need to store the values or input the values in this array. We have from 0 to 29. So as we said before, at first, we will set the index to 0. And while we are working with an array, you can use any type of loop, while or for or repeat. So let's use while index less than 30, or you can say less than or equal 29. Do, and at the end, don't forget to use end while. And inside the loop, you have to increment the index. So we will use index or set. Sorry. Set index to index plus 1. Okay, not to have infinite loop. And then you will make the validation. You will repeat until you will have what you want. What I want the midday temperature or midnight temperature with a specific range. So we will say that midnight temp more than of index, because it is an array. The first midnight, the second midnight, the third midnight. So we have an index, number 0, number 1, number 2, 229, more than 0, and midnight temp index less than 50, for example. And then you will receive the answer from your user. So you will receive midnight temp of index from keyboard. Okay, so now we got the temperature and we store it in midday array and midnight temperature array. Let's think about task 2. You can find in task 2, it asks you to calculate average temperature for midday and average temperature for midnight. If you remember, we said before, if you want to calculate average equal total divided by the number. We have how many temperature? 30. So we will divide it by 30. If you remember, we said that you can use divided by the counter or index, but sometimes if you start with 0, so the end will be 29. So you will divide it by 29. So we said the better way is that you will use the number if you know it, not divided by a counter or the index, which you use it as a variable in your program. Okay? So at first we want to calculate a total, and then we will calculate average, and then we will output the average. And don't forget that we said before that you have to initiate or declare the total with 0. So if we want to calculate average for midnight, so we can imagine that we have midnight temperature. We have on it values for temperature from 0 to 29. How we can calculate the average for midnight? We want to add this plus this plus this and so on to this value. Okay, so we want to calculate the total at first. And how we can calculate the total? We must do it inside loop. Why? Because we have the first item, the second to number 29. Okay, so we will use a loop to calculate a total. And as we said before, after loop, you will calculate the average, and after loop, you will output the average. Okay, so let's apply what we learned before. At first, you will set total midnight to 0, because we said before, if you will use total, you have to start with 0. Okay, and we will have also index from 0, so let's set index or counter as you like. You can use any variable, but you have to use a meaningful variable. Okay, 0. Now we will use the loop, okay, to start calculating the total at first. So we will use while loop, while index less than 30. Do. Okay, type. And while, don't forget to add and while. But inside the while or inside the loop, we will calculate the total. But how we learned before how we can calculate the total? We will say the total equal total plus the value which we want to add it. So set total midnight to total midnight plus the value of the temperature, which is in the array midnight temperature and of index, because we have the first item, the second item, and so on. And don't forget inside the loop to increment the index, not to have infinite loop. So you have to use set index to index plus 1. Okay, after loop, what we have to do? After loop, you can calculate now average, and you can calculate and output or display now L average. So how we can calculate average? We will say that set average midnight to total midnight divided by 30. And now you can display it on the screen. So you can send, or let's make it in the same alignment. I make indentation. So as we said, you will use set average midnight to total midnight divided by 30. Okay, and then we will display or send the average to display. So let's send average of midnight is, and let's write average midnight to display. Okay, so you will output the average midnight temperature is, and you will output the value of average midnight, because we said before what you can find between quotation, it will be output the same, and this is the value of this variable. Okay, so now we calculate the total, and then we calculate average and output average as it asked me. Let's do it for the other one, which is midday. So we did it for midnight, let's do it for midday. So we have midday temperature, and we want to calculate the average for midday. How we can calculate average for midday? At first we will say total 0, and then we will calculate total, which is total equal total plus الاري بتاعي, الvalue in array, and then we will calculate after loop, we will calculate the average, and then output average. Okay, how we can calculate average? We said before that average equal total divided by 30, because we have 30 days. So from 0 to 29, we have 30 days. We will do the same for the second one. So as we said, we will set at first index to 0 and set total. And thus it will be midday to 0. And now let's start our loop to calculate total. While index less than 30, what you are going to do, you will calculate the total. So let's set total midday to total midday, because as we said before, total equal total plus a number. What is the number which we want to add it? The first temperature, the second temperature, the third, and so on, which is midday temp of an index. The first index was 0, and then 1 and 2, and so on. So you have to increment the index, not to have infinite loop. So set index to index plus 1. Okay, now end while, and after loop, now you can calculate the average. So let's set in the average midday to total midday divided by 30. And now let's send it to display. So send average midday is, and add the value of average midday to display. Okay, so we calculate the average for midday and average for midnight, and we output it with a suitable message. Output the average with a suitable message. So we did it. Let's think about the last task. The last task, it asks you to select the day with the highest midday temperature and the lowest midnight temperature. But if we want to find what is the highest temperature and what is the lowest temperature in our midday and midnight. So let's at first start with midday and try to find the highest value for midday. So we have midday temperature array, which contain 30 values from 0 to 29. We want to get the highest temperature. Okay, how we can find the highest temperature? We said before, at first we will set high to 0, okay? And then we will check if the temperature more than high, then we will assign to high the temperature, okay? So we will try to do it. So at first you will set high or highest temperature to 0. And we have index also, or counter. You can rename it with counter or index. Let's rename it in this code as, for example, count. Set count to 0. While count less than 30, do what we are going to do. We will check if the first temperature more than the highest. If it is more, we will assign it to the highest. And then check the second one if it is more than the highest, and so on. So we will use if condition. If the midday temperature of count more than highest, if yes, then what we are going to do, we will set what? We will set highest to L midday temperature. So we will assign midday temperature to the highest if it is more than L highest. Okay, and F, and don't forget inside the loop to increment L count. Set count equal count plus 1, or to count plus 1, not to have infinite loop. Okay, now in while, and after the loop, you can display the highest score, so the highest temperature. So let's send the highest temperature is, and mention what is the highest temperature, which is highest. Okay, the same thing you can do it to find the lowest temperature in the midnight. Let's check what is the changes which you will do. The change will be in the first line. It will be lowest, and you will set it to large number, and you will change this to less than, and of course you will assign the midnight temperature to the lowest, so make change in this, and also you will output or send the lowest temperature to your display. Okay, so you can write a pseudocode for your program, and you can use it use the programming concepts which we already explained before, and which we revised more than one time. What is the programming concepts which we said? We said that you can use the total to calculate the total, or totaling, and we said that total equal total. We said that you can write equal back arrow, or you can write set, but I prefer in your for Edexcel to write set total to total plus the number which we want to add. Sometimes the number, it will be num, or it will be number, or it will be in an array. So you will choose which one you will add it, okay? And we said before in our programming concepts that total, you have to initialize total with 0, or write set total to 0, okay? This is the totaling which we explained before. Also, we explained before the counter. Okay, and we said that counter, we have count up and count down. Count up, which will start with 0 to any number, to 30, to 10, to according to the number which I want to do. And we have a countdown, which is start with a large number, and you will decrement it to arrive to 0. Okay, so this we will increment by 1. Okay, and this we will decrement by 1, as we found in our homework, that you will make a decrement for the number. Okay, so this we call it as count up, and this we call it as count down. And of course, if you will use the counter for index in your array, so you have to start with 0, and don't forget, if you will use while or repeat loop, you have to use inside it a counter to not have infinite loop. Okay, so we can easily write count up set count or index to count plus 1, and count down set and count to count minus 1. Okay. And also we talked before about in programming concepts and how we can calculate the average. And if you remember, we said that if you want to calculate average equal total divided by the number of them according to 30 days, 7 marks, 7 subjects. According to the number, you will divide it by the number. Okay, and we said before that average, and when we will calculate average, and if you want to output or display average, both of them must be outside loop or after loop. Okay, and also we talk about how we can find a minimum and how we can find a maximum value. Okay, so if we want to find minimum, at first we will start with minimum or low or anything with a large number. If we want to find the maximum, you can find maximum or high, so we start with low number, and you will check if the thing which you are searching for minimum on it, if it is less than minimum, you will assign this in minimum. And if anything you are searching for, temperature, score, anything, if it is more than a maximum, then you will assign this in maximum. Okay, or you will say set maximum to the thing which you are which you found it more than maximum. Set maximum to this thing. Okay, this is the programming concepts which we talked about it before. It will help you to write a pseudocode. It will help you to find errors in code. It will help you to in the next stage or in the next step, when we start working on programming language, it will help you to think in correct sequence for solving your problem. Okay, as I said before, you can find in your exam in Edexcel a few questions about the topic 1 and 2, which we already explained it. So you have to know that we already finished topic 1 and 2. You have in your syllabus 6 topics. We already finished topic 1 and 2, and we already solved class 5 for topic 1 and 2. And we don't only use exams or questions from Edexcel, we used sometimes from Cambridge for more practice. And this is not the end. We will work on the other topics, and also you will be asked about the topics which we finish up. Inshallah, next session, Wednesday, you will have quiz on topic 1 and 2. Okay? 1 and 2. So I want you to practice more, or try to solve more from your class 5. I know that we already finished class 5. I will send for you more questions from Cambridge to practice on it. And you can do it from your class 5 again if you want. Inshallah, next session you will have quiz on topic 1 and 2. And then, inshallah, from the next week, we will start topic 3. And on every time when we will finish any topic, you will have a quiz on the previous topics. We didn't have a quiz after topic 1 because you can find that topic 1 and 2 related to each other. When we will finish all of them, or topic 1 and 2, you can have a quiz. Okay? So inshallah, when we will finish topic 3, you will have a quiz on topic 1, 2, and 3. When we will finish topic 4, you will have a quiz on topic 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. So this is it will not be the last quiz on topic 1 and 2. You will have a lot of quizzes on it, and inshallah, on every time you will find that your score will be better. I know that topic 1 and 2 the hardest topics in your syllabus. I know it. Okay, and we have enough time to practice on topic 1 and 2. So I want you to, when you will do your quiz, you can do it. You can have any score. I don't care about your score. The score only helped me to find my plan to help you to improve your skills. Okay, so I don't want you to be struggle or find that I have a quiz and so on. No. Take it easy, and inshallah you will do what you want, what you know, and that will help me to for our practice on topic 1 and 2 on the next sessions, and also to improve your skills in this topic. Okay. Right. Do you want to ask about anything about what we explained in this session and the previous sessions? So if you remember, at first we talked about programming concepts, and then we try to find the error in code, and then we use trace table to test code. Okay, and then I help you to start writing pseudocode. Okay, but you cannot find the question about that in paper 1. Okay, we will work on it and we will practice on it a lot on paper 2, but at first we will finish all of the syllabus, and we will finish paper 1, and then we will start practice on paper 2 and start working on Python and high-level language. Okay, to know our plan and what we are going to do on the next sessions. Okay, so at first we will finish topic 3, 4, 5, and 6, and after we will finish, you can solve paper 1, and then we will start practice on paper 2, which already on topic 1 and 2. Okay, but it will be in high-level language. So at first I want you to practice more and understand more topic 1 and 2 by quizzes and by practice, and when you will start working on a high-level language, you will find it easy because you practice a lot and you had a lot of practice on topic 1 and 2. Okay, do you want to ask about anything؟ في أي حاجة مش واضحة؟ programming concepts you have to study it well. يعني لازم تبقى عارف كويس ازاي استخدم التوتال، ازاي استخدم الكاونتر، ازاي استخدم المينيمم والماكسيمم، لان هي دي الكونسبتس اللي انت هتستخدمها بعد كده عشان تكتب كود او عشان تفكر صح. فاحنا يعني حاولنا على قد ما نقدر ان احنا نمشي في الموضوع ستيب باي ستيب. انا عارفه ان هو الموضوع مش سهل، it's not easy، وهو ان هو بيجي بالبراكتس كتير، وهو ده اللي حصل يعني في منهج كمبيوتر ساينس. بس في كامبريدج حطينا في الاخر عشان ما يعقدوش الناس. يعني احنا عندنا نفس الكلام في كامبريدج، بس في اخر 2 chapters. انتوا عندكم للاسف في الوش، فبتاخدوا ايه الخبطه في الاول كده. فمعلش استحملوا بقى، بس يعني التوبكس اللي جايه كلها جميله جدا وسهله ان شاء الله. يعني توبك 3 و4 و5 و6 very easy و very interesting. هتلاقوا الموضوع يعني السيشنز اللي جايه ألذ بكتير. فمعلش بقى استحملوا بقى السودو كود، بس بالبراكتس ان شاء الله هتلاقي الدنيا لذيذه باذن الله. اوكي، حد عايز يسال اي حاجه؟ اشوفكم الحصه الجايه ان شاء الله. الحصه الجايه كويس زي ما اتفقنا. بي ريدي. باي باي.